Thank you so much, Will, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. It's going to be a little hard for me to conceal the nerves that I'm feeling this afternoon. I hope you forgive me, but maybe to get us all warmed up, let me just start with a short video to start my story.
What gives life? What inspires it? What starts it? What sustains it? What nurtures it? What makes it grow? How does it grow? Why does it grow? What births it? Despite the pain, the pressure, the wounds, the scars, the burns. Why does it still bloom? Why does it blossom? What ends it? And when it does, why does it start again even better than before? My life's work has set me to find answers to what makes things flavorful, beautiful, and sustainable. But before I am a chef, an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, and even a florist, I am a mother. And it is as a mother that I find the simple answer to all my questions. Simple, yet deeply layered and complex. Just like the ingredients and flavors I love. So what gives life? Love gives life. And one thing for sure, it was love that gave me mine. What gives yours? What gives life?
Thank you very much. So again, I'm Margarita Fores, and I'm a mother to one. His name is Amado, and he's sheepishly in the back of the room, a little embarrassed. But I just want to share with you that my role as a mother has always been a challenge for me. I don't think I'm a natural. It's something that I've had to learn along the way, and I guess Amado is a testament to this. I guess it's something that you can't learn from a manual or read from a book. It takes a lot of practice and hard-earned experience to learn and become kwakfa. It's not an easy job because I guess we mothers learn along the way. I guess this says the same thing about my career. My career has kind of been a real slow burn as well. I was never a planner, and I must admit that it has had a lot of trials along the way. Until today, challenges still are a big part of the process. But I guess with inspiration to drive me, and many loving people to help me, and my strong maternal instinct to guide me, I managed to get by. It's 30 years now and still counting. Let me tell you my story. I come from a family of foodies from the Philippines. But in my teenage years, in the 70s, our family moved to New York because we were in self-exile. During the Marcos years, my grandfather was a sugar trader and exporter. And I guess at that time, because we were not on the same side politically, my grandfather left Manila because he could no longer do his business the way he wanted. So, as all Filipino families are, we travel in herds. So we all moved to New York and kind of transported our life in the Philippines within maybe 6 blocks of the Upper East Side. At that time, New York was going through a real Italianization. This was like the late 70s and the early 80s. I think that things were not so easy in Italy at that time, so there were many businessmen who were setting up new modern Italian restaurants and even retail businesses all over New York. And being a young girl, very impressionable at that time, it kind of inspired me and got me really interested in a lot of Italian things. And I was lucky enough, actually, to land a job first with the fur licensee of Valentino, the person who was making coats for the Italian brand. And through him, I met my boss, the lady who ran the licensing department of Valentino. She kind of fell in love with me. So I moved to their office, to the actual office in Valentino. And I guess that's what started my whole love affair with everything Italian. The office was small, but we did a lot of things, work with media, buy dog food for Mr. Valentino when he was in the city, kind of odd jobs like that. But I think what was good about it was that that's where I learned the strength of a brand and how to build one. But the fashion part of it was fun for me. But what I started to enjoy a little bit more was what I did after work, which was cook pasta for friends and set the table, create the ambiance, kind of like channeling Martha Stewart, who was just kind of getting big at that time. So I found myself, making excuses sometimes, inviting friends over just so I could cook, whether in the city or sometimes upstate at my grandfather's place in New York. And it became more and more evident to me that it was this part that I was enjoying, not so much the fashion any longer. It was a good time to be in New York. I was very happy. But in 1985, something sudden happened. My grandfather passed away. This was in November. So again, like a herd, we all moved back to Manila. I was a little upset about it because I was just enjoying New York at the time. We got to Manila the end of 1985, and within 2 months, that was when the revolution happened, when Marcos left the country. And it was a very sort of life-changing moment in Manila. And I think that all of this activity that I was doing in New York had to stop for a bit. But when things settled down, I started to look for that passion again, to be able to cook for people. And I started to question myself, do I go to Italy and learn? So I begged my mom. I asked her if I could go to Italy and really see if this passion that I started to sort of really love in New York was what I wanted to do. So in late 1986, in August actually, I went to Florence. I had a friend who was in design school, and she found me a teacher. Now, I never really planned my future. I'm not one of those people who knows like exactly, okay, this is my goal, this is what I'm gonna do. I kind of just like go along and go with gut feel. So I asked my friend to just find a teacher. I didn't give her any parameters, but maybe the heavens conspired because she found me an Italian signora. Her name was Masha Innocenti, and she was just teaching out of her house. So I think that it was great to be able to learn from her and two other signoras, Ada Parasiliti in Milano and Jo Betoya in Rome. And I think that it was providential that I did learn from 3 Italian signoras, learning Italian cuisine in its essence, the home cooking way. I think that this was actually the best way to do it. So while I was in Italy, actually, that was very short, just 4 months. But because I was by myself, I had no Filipino friends, I was forced to learn the language really quickly. And I just basically became a sponge. I learned not only from the courses that I took, but more from just living there and absorbing the vibe of Italy, visiting markets, eating at restaurants, asking friends to give me information, because as you all know, I'm sure, Italians are very generous about sharing information. Whether they can cook or not, many of them know a lot about food, about their produce, and basically just a lot about what they enjoy most. And I guess apart from just learning the cooking, I think what I learned more, which was the more important lesson to learn, was really more like the respect for ingredients. Less is more. You know, Italian cooking is always so simple. And those principles that I've learned, I think, I still carry with me today. So, After the 4 months, I came back to Manila, very eager to kind of get my hands dirty and let everyone try what I learned. And it was, I mean, very quick that I was able to find people who were willing to try my food. I started just doing small dinners, with just one assistant. I would carry pots and pans and carry baskets of ingredients and go to people's homes and just cook for them. And in that process, the general manager of the Hyatt Regency in Manila at that time tried my food. And those days, there weren't really any women in the kitchen then. Most of the people in the industry were either Swiss-German executive chefs at the hotels or Filipino chefs running either restaurants or catering businesses. So to, I guess, have somebody like me with my background willing to get her hands dirty and slave over a stove, it kind of seemed attractive as a PR kind of slant for the hotel. So the general manager, they got a photographer to take like really good glamour shots of me, and they put it in the broadsheets, and they said, well, this young lady's going to do a festival at Hugo's at the Hyatt. So working in the hotel kitchen for the first time, I come in with like my bracelets and my grandfather's monogrammed white shirt, never in a chef's jacket, kind of maybe turning their kitchen topsy-turvy. But I figure that they knew that they could sell the event and that they could always save the day if I really couldn't cook. So one day in the kitchen, I came in and checked the sauces, and I just kind of noticed that the cream sauce was a little bit thicker than what I would have wanted. So I asked the commie who was in the kitchen, why is my cream sauce so thick? And he says, ma'am, chef put some roux in it. He's watching his food cost. So of course, I said to myself, oh dear, they probably thought, if I goofed, they'd be able to do something about it. But I got like visibly upset. So I spoke to the executive chef and I told him, chef, please, no shortcuts on my sauce. So he did relent, and eventually the festival became very successful, and 3 months down the road, we did another one. So, I guess at that time, I was still on party mode. I was 25. Kind of like getting my head a little bit stuffed with all the adulation that I got from the successful festivals. And I decided to continue my work and do like small catering jobs for people. But I guess because I was enjoying myself too much, there were days when I would come late for the job or arrive with not all of my ingredients complete and basically screwed up. So, it was a real sort of wake-up call. So when all those things, those incidents happened, I was just really lucky that my clients were friends or friends of friends, and they were still willing to be supportive and forgiving. And I guess because of them, I'm here standing in front of you today, having been able to do what I've done all these years. Then, in 1990, this was the real big wake-up call. I had Amado, unexpectedly. And I guess this was the real serious wake-up call. Because all of a sudden now, I had to make a choice. I was now responsible for another life. So I did question myself, and I said, is this really just going to be a passing fancy, a hobby, or are you going to buckle down now and really get serious and make this a profession? So I think that's the lesson that Amado taught me. I realized that it wasn't the hype, the glamour, the adulation that you get from being in the front of the house and hearing everyone's praises. In the end, success in this business means discipline, responsibility, structure, and I guess following formulas, things that are not really like my comfort zone. So I guess becoming a mother forced me to sort out my priorities. I wanted to make something of myself and make sure that Amado would be proud of me and could depend on me. So I guess I did some growing up too, the same time that Amado was growing up. So fast forward, it took 10 years for me to kind of get my act together and for me to commit to finally opening a restaurant. So in 1997, I opened my simple Italian cafe in a little passageway of the mall in somewhere in Makati. And it was a passageway between the mall and a department store. And I was just very eager to open it, so I asked the mall developer if they could just give me the space for a year, and eventually they moved me to another location. But I guess to make a long story short, Cibo now has 10 branches, and it's on its 19th year. So I'm very happy that we can still continue to grow it eventually. Aside from that, I also have Lusso, which is a tiny jewel of a champagne bar, also in Greenbelt Mall. Very old world, meant to give you kind of that Harry's Bar, Peninsula, Hong Kong lobby experience in Manila that's very hard to come by. And of course, I also have Grace Park, which is the farm-to-table restaurant that really I decided to put up so that we could honor our farmers and our purveyors in Manila that do wonderful things with artisan produce. So I guess with all that I've done, I'm just really thankful that I have a wonderful staff that always has my back and that works very hard to get things done so that we can continue to grow the business. And perhaps I could say that I've also been a mother to them, nurturing them, and developing and inspiring so that our work can become even better. Apart from these restaurants, I guess the catering division of the group, the first one that I started, is really the one that's growing in leaps and bounds. This is where I've had a blessed opportunity to champion Filipino cuisine and produce and help share this on a global stage. Through representing the Philippines at different venues like Salone del Gusto in Torino, or Casa Artusi in Italy, or even Madrid Fusion, I've partnered with the government actually to be able to have this advocacy be able to be expressed much, much more in my work. Perhaps love for one's motherland, which is also a maternal relationship, has helped inspire this. I guess in a way, all these parts of my life and my work are all bound by one thing, the love of a mother. The Italian signoras who taught me were mothers to me. Amado taught me how to be a mother. And I guess the way that I run my businesses as well, I mean, this maternal instinct has always been a major part of it. And it is this maternal instinct that has nourished, fed, and nurtured the people that I've had the fortunate chance to work with, as well as those that have come through the doors of the restaurant and have enjoyed the catering events that we've put together. I guess my love for my motherland and my beloved Philippines, and my wanting to share the best of our cuisine and our culture with all of you, has helped inspire all of this. And in a huge way, I guess the appreciation for my work, Asia's 50 Best included, is doing the same thing for me. It's nourishing me, feeding me, and nurturing me. So again, indeed, I think this is what gives life. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Margarita. Again, would we have any questions from the floor? And we'll deliver a microphone to you. Raise your hand. If you'd like to ask Margarita any further questions. Margarita, you can send out. I'll ask you a question about the Philippines. Do you think the produce and cooking culinary heritage of the Philippines is ready to be exported to the rest of the world?
I think, well, the question is quite timely. I think that we've been undergoing a real sort of process of rediscovering ourselves and our sense of national identity maybe in the last 3-4 years. People have always been questioning, why does it take so long for Filipino cuisine, to come out there? We've been overtaken by many other Asian cuisines. But I always feel that it's a different story now. And I think that maybe the reason why there's a huge interest now in Filipino cuisine and a lot of achievement also, not only from those of us in the industry in the Philippines, I think the other Filipinos who are all over the world actually, their sort of sense of identity and wanting to share Filipino cuisine all over the world has been awakened. And I think at the moment, there's been also like a huge deluge of beautiful produce that we've allowed to sort of showcase in our country. Things that have actually been there for a long time, things that we've been growing the traditional way, cleanly and sustainably. And all we really needed to do was to get together and be united and have one voice to be able to showcase this. Actually, if I might call everyone's attention to Chef Chele Gonzalez in the back, who is Spanish, but who's also been part of the movement in the Philippines and has allowed us to really be a strong group advocating, pushing Filipino cuisine and culture and ingredients and present it to the global stage in a very effective way. So I guess it's our time.
Thank you very much, Margarita Fores.